Making sure everything is up and running. This is Sara Jamshidi, Peace Talk with Sara. I decided to go live today to explain about the very specific news and stories happening in the Middle East and particularly in Iran. I think I can give a different perspective and different anecdote about this particular story, and I'm just going to explain how we in the US are covering this particular story, how Israelis are covering this story, and how Iran is covering, and what are the implications and significance and differences of covering the same story in different regions or in different countries. So the story is about Mohsen Fakhrizadeh. Mohsen Fakhrizadeh is one of the nuclear scientists in Iran. It's been told that he was in charge of creating and designing nuclear warhead for Iran military might. And he was one of the very important men in this spectrum of nuclear power and nuclear energy. And he was gunned down by Israelis, according to many of the news resources. Israel has not backed up the story and has not claimed the responsibility, but everyone believes that it's been Israel because of the military and some of the remaining of the weapons has been found. Made Israel has been found on the ground. So I'm just going to give you very quickly the anecdote of what the story is about, and then give you my point of view of why this is very important. So Mohsen Fakhrizadeh, again, very famous scientist. He was leaving his town about a few days ago, going to a part of north of Tehran. So I've been in this area. It's Ab Sard, and then it's a spa/luxury kind of a neighborhood in north of Tehran, and they are famous for their mineral water. So people go there to enjoy, and then to enjoy the water, enjoy the scenery. It's very pleasant, beautiful neighborhood. So he left the house apparently with his family, and then when moved driving the car. I mean, it was about 3-4 cars driving the cars. He was always escorted wherever he went to this particular neighborhood, and then a very large truck was exploded on the way he was going to this area. And then they had to stop, and immediately drone and attack went on, and he was gunned down at the scene. And all the criteria explains that they wanted to very sure that this person is going to die. And it was the aim. Mossad and Israel was behind the attack, and then but none of those has ever claimed that they have been claimed the responsibility, so to speak. So this is this story, and the significance of the story is taking down one of the important nuclear scientists in Iran, and one of the people who were designing the nuclear warhead. Okay, so why this is important and the implication. When Trump took the office, one of his major criteria and the major slogan was to make America great again, And the slogan was to basically redirect many of the funds or financial resources was going out of the US to be directed back to the country. And we just do not support every cause, every nation, everything, and to pay attention more of the U.S. national interest. To do that, Middle East has been one of the priorities. U.S. has always supported Israel almost unconditionally and limitless, and Trump wanted to redirect this kind of negotiation. How he did that? just very recently, within the last 2-3 months, Israel and US manufactured Israel and UAE peace, and also manufactured Israel and Bahrain peace. So by doing that, somehow they in their agenda, in their political agenda, they redirected the tension and attention from Palestine to Iran and Iran threat in the Middle East is one reason. The other one is it's right now it's not really about nuclear power or nuclear energy or nuclear warhead anymore. It's more than that for Iran and Iranians in the region, and that is to understand how many of the Iran's military weapons has become very precise. I want to take you to September 14, 2019, when Iran drove basically 20 drones in the region to be aimed at the Abqaiq. I know that I am mispronouncing it. I'm sorry, but it's a refinery in Saudi Arabia, and Iran was able to precisely attack the refinery and also create a very large damage. Very important anecdote in this arena was that a U.S. Base, U.S. military base, and also Israel as well as Saudi Arabians missed the drones in their air authority, and that explains that how precise Iran was able to move towards its target, to hit the target. So not only from the nuclear front, but also from many other fronts, Iran is becoming politically and militarily very powerful. So therefore, this has needed to be taken care of. This is one issue that the U.S. really wanted to address within this, not U.S., but they wanted to address. The other issue is by manufacturing this peace deal between Israel and UAE, Israel and Bahrain, U.S. somehow is sending the message. Oh, what happened? What happened was when this missile hit the target in Saudi Arabia, Trump did nothing. He did nothing. And if it was just right now, about a few weeks ago, probably attack against Iran was a no-brainer, but they did nothing. Instead, what they did was to sell very large weapon and military equipment to Saudi Arabia. In some of the reports, there were about $100 billion. I need to check the amount, but it was a very, very large amount. So implication of what and the ways in which US decided to respond to this kind of attack was that, you know what, and Trump administration was that, you know what, to Saudi Arabia, you got to fight your own fight. What we are most interested is to sell you the military and the weapons and get the money. And we are not just going to sit there to fight your fight. The message was very clear, loud and clear for Israelis, and then they decided that this is something they need to take care of, to just do the fight themselves. So this is the second implication. To exactly explain, and right now what's happening is US is uniting the Sunni Arab nations in the Gulf region against this Shia nation. in the Middle East, I know that I cannot show you on my map, but in the Middle East, we are talking about 16 countries in the Gulf region, and of those 16 countries, Iran is the only Shia nation in the region. The rest are Sunni, and we have four major cultures. We have Hebrew culture or Jewish culture. We have a Persian culture, Ottoman culture or Turkish culture, and we have Arab culture. Arab is the most significant because most of the people in the region speak Arabic, and Arab culture and Arab nation is the most significant. But Turkey and Ottoman Empire and Shia and Iran is in minority, and of course Israel and Hebrew culture, Jewish culture is in minority. So therefore, U.S. agenda was to unite this Sunni Arab against the Shia, Iran Shia, and this is the ongoing conflict between these two sects. Very quickly, Shia and Sunni. In Shia sect, in Sunni sect, people believe that there were four Khalifa or four Imam, and started with Abu Bakr and ended with Ali ibn Abi Talib, and that's it. In the Shia sect, they believe that they were 12 Imam or 12 Khalifa or whatever. I don't go into too much detail, but started with Ali ibn Abi Talib and went through the dynasty, son, father, and son, father, son, so forth and so on, and until the 12 that was disappeared, like Jesus, and he's going to come back and he's going to bring the justice to the world. So this two major sect in conflict, and we have Israel, who is a Jewish culture, and therefore it's not a major one, but these two are the major in conflict. So when US tries to unite the Sunni Arab nations against this Shia nation, it goes really well with the historical conflict that this region has always been involved with. And what it does is taking away the attention against Palestine and putting the new attention against Iran, and that was probably, and also not only nuclear issue, but also other military issue that Iran is improving and developing. So it was the major thing. Biden is going to have a very, very difficult deal with the Middle East, because Biden believes in diplomacy and believes in back and forth negotiation, but the deal between that was signed many years ago, 5-6 years ago, between Obama and Iran was basically disappeared and replaced with the maximum pressure against Iran, and Iranians has lost all of their confidence against any agenda put forward by Americans, because they saw that if something is put forward, it's just gonna it's may very easily disappear, and therefore it's not what US suggests cannot be trustworthy. So Biden is going to have an issue and problem, but my take with this quick conversation and update is not talking about very, very complicated matters in the Middle East, is about ways in which we tell and cover the stories. So I'm in my home office, therefore there are just noise in the background. Forgive me. But so how the story was covered. And one of the major issues that I'm trying to address in my podcast and in our news, and it's not news, but in our storytelling, is, I did not find, I am more than happy and more than appreciated if anyone can refer me of the neutral or perhaps objective storytelling of what happened of this particular incident. Mohsen Fakhrizadeh was killed. So objective and neutral. didn't happen in the Western media, in the US media. I love Haaretz. It's the Israeli newspaper. I just love their storytelling. It's equivalent to New York Times. I'm not going to go into what is New York Times and what is not New York Times, but I do have respect for Haaretz, and even they, I couldn't find an objective point of view who is also supporting some of the criterias by Iranians. This attack was the attack against the Iran sovereignty. It was attack killing a person, and it was the second time. The first one, Iran killed the military elite in Iran by drone, and this is the second one. So Iranians are very upset that this has taken place for the first time. They are not only, I mean, US is not being what's the word, blamed for this attack. It's also Israel who has been blamed for the attack. Again, it's the first time happening in the region within the Iranian public. But here's the issue: how we are telling the story, right? How are we framing the story? The story in the US media is Iran is bad, it's aggressive, it's a bad nation, Shia nation, bunch of bad people. I promised my sister not to swear in the program. And in the Iranian media has been heavily politicized. The story has been heavily politicized. So what we learn is the kind of storytelling is not objective, and how to deal with that is, in my opinion, to write and do the storytelling from a different of a different sect, or of a sect of people who are producing meaningful stories that has not been published or has not been publicized in the media. I don't want to go to the self-advertisement, honestly, but this is something I've been very interested, and this is something that I am trying to do. So with Peace-Mindedly and with the story that we are featuring, I think that we are doing exactly that. So finding those women who are making difference, who are making difference within their own community, and also projecting and telling their stories. That's what really I am so intrigued and interested. Yes, I didn't find any objective or any story that explains the Iranians' motives. I did not, and it's vice versa in Iran. And journalism is not all about taking side in stories. Journalism is about, so what is really happening. I hope that we can see that. Yes, just wanted to explain. Thank you so much for watching. Please share this video if you agree, or if you have comments, write back to me. I try my best to answer or to engage with the comments. Here I have, you can say how to fix another place if you haven't lived there and witnessed their hardships. So Davon and only dawn, yeah, something like that. Just said I think I can, because I am Iranian. I covered Iran. I covered business issues, women issues, and politics back in Tehran, in Iran, and in many other cities within the nation. I am fluent in Farsi. I am fluent in Iranian culture. I am fluent in the Middle East and Gulf region. So I think I can talk about those issues because I exactly know what's going on. but I take your point. If it was someone who didn't know what she's talking about, I think you were right. So thanks so much for writing back. I'm gonna come back for the next season, February 2nd, with our guests. We are in the process of booking our guests. Thank you so much for watching, and I'm gonna come back. Just wanted to give you my quick anecdote about why I think the storytelling of killing of Mohsen Fakhrizadeh is important, and how it's taking shape in the US media. Thank you and take care. Bye-bye.